Jackson for Texas Tech. They call him Tank because he weighs 305 pounds. Michael Johnson also was there for Texas Tech. McManus not having a bad first game either. Not too bad at all. 6 out of 9 for 100 yards. And with that, Florida State is going to call a timeout, and Danny McManus will go over to talk for probably about 133 yards in total offense for the Seminoles already. 57 for Texas Tech. And Bobby Bowden got to be pleased with what his offense has done so far.
But he's going to be disappointed in his defense. Mickey Andrews has talked about it all during preseason, that it's an aggressive bunch. He can do things, but he can't give up the big play.
Mickey Andrews, we talked to him yesterday, said he wants to look at two things this year. He wants to finish in the top 10 in total defense, in the top 10 in scoring defense. And he feels that if they can do that, they will win the bowl on New Year's Day. And he's probably right. Third down goal. Williams, touchdown. Did he keep it in?
Same play for the State was successful on their first down play. Dane Williams scored from the 1.5.
Derek Schmidt, who can break a set a new Florida State score record with this kick, comes on to do it. He's the number 16 scorer among kickers in NCAA history. McManus will hold. And it's blocked. And so the record will have to wait. Who got that? Michael Johnson was the man who got in there and blocked the kick, the outstanding linebacker for Texas Tech. So Florida State gets the scoreboard for the second time in as many possessions, and with 7 minutes and 24 seconds to go, takes 13-7 lead. On the Red Raiders of Texas Tech. We thought this game would be Tech. There's a veteran ball club indeed of our starters. Williams with a 2-yard TD run for the score. Here it is.
Nothing fancy, just right over. Excuse me, right catch. There you see why Pat Carter's going to be an All-American. That's called a decleater.
That is the score. Texas Tech had an up-and-down year last year. They started off very badly, losing to Baylor, Miami, Texas A&M by big margins. Then won 5 out of the last 6 ball games, beating Texas and Arkansas during that swing. This is one of the Smurfs, Eddie. That's another Smurf. And this is Tyrone Thurman, and Thurman's going nowhere. Credit Bill Reagan for his second big special team tackle of the evening. It's a Texas Tech take over. First and 10 at their own 15-yard line. We alluded to the Smurfs. The Smurfs are 3 wide receivers on Texas Tech. They average 5'7" and 150 pounds. They're Wayne Walker at 5'9", 160. Tyrone Thurman at 5'3", 130. And Eddie Anderson at 5'9", 160. They call them the Smurfs. Fullback up the gut doesn't go for much. That's Irvin Ferris. Irvin Ferris, the junior out of Fort Worth, was an linebacker, but he moved into fullback this year. Odell Hagan, the converted linebacker, now playing nose guard for the Seminoles in on the stop.
Florida State needs some bigger plays or continuance of the big play from Odell. He might be the one key on that defensive line about how well they perform.
Second down, call it a long 9. Coming off the Gray, had the hole, and Felton Hayes does a great job of closing it. Hayes did a super job of playing off the block of Charles Avior on the left side tackle and tripped up Gray before he could get out of his backfield very well.
A little bit of misdirection. Looked like it was the isolation play to the right, cut it back to the left. Had Hayes not held up the blocker and caused the runner to stumble, he had some room. This Texas Tech team, Dave, is explosive. I know we say that about a lot of teams. We've already witnessed on one drive or one particular play, but they can make things happen. They're creative, and they don't mind putting the ball in the air.
Third in the Southwest Conference in total offense last year. Tolman Anderson complete down to the 34-yard line. Hey, this Tolman kid can play.
Somebody forgot to tell him he was third team coming into the camp.
Mike Dyke said you know, we don't want to lose Billy Joe Tolliver, but this kid actually does some things better than Billy Joe Tolliver does.
Anderson on Martin Mayhew. He drives inside, gets outside, lays the ball up. Look where the ball is. You can't throw it any better than that.
Deion Sanders in on the stop finally for Florida State. First down, Texas Tech. Smurf to the right, Smurf to the left. Tillman, your quarterback. 34-yard line. Give us Bakers to Gray. Tillman with time, slips, goes out in the flats, and Tillman is 4 for 4 passing tonight. Deion Sanders over there on the coverage has 81. The little guy, Tyrone Thurman, comes off with a pass.
5th in the country last year in punt returns, 13.5 yards.
Unquestionably, the most exciting return man in the country, although Deion Sanders may have something to say about that. We could conceivably have, I think we do have, probably the best 2 punt returners in the nation on the field tonight in Sanders and Thurman.
That you probably do, and plus they're going head-to-head most of the time when Texas Tech has the ball.
Second down, call it 2. Tillman falls on the ground, and Tillman falls on it at the 39-yard line. The ball was given off to James Gray, who did not get a good handle on it, and Tillman alertly falls to the football again.
The more you see him, the more Tillman looks like a Rick Stockstill or a Danny McManus. You know, most quarterbacks hand the ball off and they Christie back a little bit and see what's happening. That time Tillman close enough to see the ball loose and down right there on it with defensive linemen all over him.
He didn't Christie back, that's for sure. There you see his numbers on the season. Yeah, that is the season. The season's about half a quarter old. Third down, 5. Pitch, Gray, right side. First down at the 45-yard line. And Texas Tech keeps the drive alive. I can't tell you how impressed I am with Scott Tillman right now.
I'm telling you, he looks like he's just completely taken command.
Spike Dykes coming on the sidelines. Dykes took over for David McWilliams last year at the end of the regular season. McWilliams left to coach University of Texas. Not after the season. Raiders for the first down, and Texas Tech gets it. Dykes comes on and nearly pulls out an Independence Bowl win. But in the offseason, Lubbock has really taken a loving affection, if you will, to Spike Dykes. In fact, if you walk around Lubbock and you look at the bumper stickers, they all say, "I like Spike." And you talk to the guy, he is as friendly a guy as you ever want to meet. Down home Texas drawl, and you can tell why he is so popular in Lubbock, Texas. He's even more popular right now. His team got a good looking ride going. Tillman has lots of time. Offensive line doing the job for track, and Tillman manages to fall forward for a couple of 3 yards. Terry Warren, the outside linebacker, in on the stop for Florida State.
Another late flag, Dave. Florida State and Texas Tech haven't played since 1977 in the Green Bowl, but you'd think that the rivalry was a little more heated.
Flipping against Texas Tech. You're right, it was exactly 10 years ago that these two teams met in the Tangerine Bowl.
Tillman's showing a great deal of agility here. We'll see him drop back, ISO action, can't find a receiver, sprints outside. This makes him extremely dangerous.
That was one of the things that Spike Dykes said that Tillman does better than Billy Joe Tolliver. Tolliver is not a runner, not a mobile quarterback. Tillman is, and you see evidence of it right there. To give you an idea of just what Texas Tech is missing without Billy Joe Tolliver, he was second in passing yardage in the Southwestern Conference last year, easily the key to the ball club, had the second best passing season in school history with over 1,600 yards. He's already 4th on the school's career passing list, and he's just a junior. First down 20. Nothing doing there. Odell Hagan's the nose guy. Stopping Gray.
I hate to be on Odell's bandwagon, but I will tell you the one thing that I think is the most impressive quote that has been said about him. Bill McGrotha in his column, Tallahassee Democrat, said he might be compared to Ron Simmons. No one has been compared to Ron since he left.
He did not want to be moved from linebacker. But Bobby Bowden, with the loss of Thomas Hart to academics, by the way, he is eligible again. He's not playing tonight because of weight problems. Bobby went to Odell and said, "You're going to play nose guard." And that's exactly what he did. And Toma with another great throw. Second reception of the night to Wayne Walker. Walker led the team in receiving last year. Nearly 19 yards. That's his second reception this evening.
I'll tell you what, Tolman needs to get his name on the Heisman ballot. Left-hand roll, turns, plants, throws, spreads it between Palmer and Deion Sanders. Excellent catch by Walker. That's the way you draw them up, Dave.
Gets a big chunk of the yardage back. Third down and about 4. Drop play to Gray. Big hole. Gray's got the first down inside the 40-yard line and down to the 39 of Florida State. Mayhew in on the stop for the Seminoles. Butler in there also, and Leroy Butler out of Jacksonville getting his first shot at playing, just a freshman.
3rd and 4, keeping it on the ground. Sprint draw action, delayed action, breaks it back to his left, defensive right. McGowan misses a tackle. Again, that's the way you draw it up. Been a very, very well executed first half by the Red Raiders.
First down, Gray outside. Wanted to go inside, but the hole wasn't there. Palmer strips him up from behind. Gray gets about 4 yards on the play. James Gray, one of the top backs in the Southwestern Conference, and he really is something else. You can see Spike Dykes over there. He was named the conference newcomer of the year last year. He really burst on the scene in midseason. He hadn't been used much, but the last 5 games of the season, he was a holy terror.
Just a sophomore, as is Tolman.
Well, that, as we said to you earlier, his emergence allowed Irvin Ferris, who was the I-back in this game, to move to fullback. And so you got really 2 top-quality backs in the backfield for Texas Tech. And they got more coming. Here he is again. David, a big hole on the left side. And Gray down to the 17-yard line. Huge holes being opened up in that Seminole defensive line. Mayhew over there. Cedric Dodge also in there for Florida State. Palmer had an assist as well.
What you're seeing is great execution by the offensive line of the Red Raiders. Their tackles are getting on our linebackers. Our tackle, Schutz and Gabbard, are not keeping the defensive linemen off our linebackers, McGowan and Palmer. And you'll see that happen all night long as that continues.
Gray will get a well-deserved rest. Up the middle it goes to Ferris, and Ferris a huge hole again, and down to the 3-yard line. Mayhew and Dodge save the touchdown. Jeff Keith, Brian Lee, Mike McBride, the front 3 for Texas Tech.
Here we're
really doing their job.
Excuse me, Dave. Here we're going to get a look at it from a different angle. You're going to see straight-ahead power right here. You're going to see linemen getting on linebackers, and that's the one thing Mickey Andrews is probably turning over in the coaching box right down from us. I think we're going to miss that replay, but when we get a chance to look at it, I think that's what you'll see.
3 backs and a stacked eye for Texas Tech. I-back coming out for a couple of 3. Felton Hayes is there to wrap up Clifton Winston, who gets his first carry of the night. He's the backup to James Gray. Winston, 5'8" sophomore out of Houston, Texas. Deion Sanders makes the grab. Gets the assist for Florida State. Minute 5 to go here in the first quarter. Bobby Bowden got to be kind of concerned about what he's seeing right now. Texas Tech doing a good job of moving the ball up the field. This has been an excellent football game.
That it has. You know, it's kind of a mixed thing. You don't know whether it's going to be a laugher or a real tight one. And obviously in the first quarter, we've known Texas Tech's come to play.
Second down goal. Winston to go. This is Gray. He's got his second touchdown of the evening. James Gray. And looky here, Texas Tech, who is a heavy underdog, ties the ball game and now has the opportunity to take the lead.
Again, right up the middle, offensive line versus defensive line and linebackers, and right now the Red Raiders are winning.
Scott Segrist will come on to do the PAT. He was 13 out of 24 in field goals last year, has really improved his accuracy. Snap, spot, kick is up, and missed it left. Look at this. So combined, the teams are 2 for 4 in PATs tonight, and we have a tie ball game with 40 seconds left to go here in the first quarter. Wow. Total offense in the ball game, impressive. Florida State with 135. Texas Tech with 152. We're not even at the first quarter yet, folks.
Well, you mentioned in pregame that Texas Tech had to develop a running game. They have done that. The Florida State defensive line has not responded well. In addition, you mentioned that Mickey Andrews has said in the preseason that his defense cannot give up the big play. They've done that already. And you just got to be impressed with Coleman and Gray and Farrah and the Smurfs.
Boy, I'll tell you. So Deion Sanders and Leroy Butler will go deep to receive the kick from Scott Siegrist. This will be Dexter Carter. Trying to find some room and zigzags his way down to the 29-yard line. Eric Everett on the stop for Texas Tech. Let's say hi to Barry Milligan.
Dave, what is happening in this game is right on track with what has happened historically between these two ball clubs. They've met 4 times previously. They have combined to score over 50 points a ball game, and like I say, it's right on with that in terms of history. Now, I talked to Spike Dykes before the game. He was a little concerned, naturally, about not having Tolliver, but he said, look, we may get intercepted 7 times tonight, but we're going to air it out, have a wide-open offense, and just see what happens. And so far, they've matched Florida State punch for punch.
Barry, stay right there. We want to ask you a question here in a minute as Danny McManus completes the pass up to the 49-yard line to Dexter Carter. You're down there on the Florida State sidelines, Bear. What's the mood down there right now? Do they expect to have 2 touchdowns scored on them in the first quarter?
Well, absolutely not. Things are a little tentative, actually, Dave. You know, the players are sort of a little reserved, actually. It's usually a lot more festive down here on the sidelines. I'll tell you what, Dykes coming in said, you know, we've got a great bunch of kids. They are a cohesive unit, and as we've mentioned a couple of times, you know, a lot of veteran ball players, and they've come in here very well prepared.
6 seconds to go in the first quarter. This will be the last play of the quarter if they do get it off. They do. Carter's got a big hole on the left side and down into Texas Tech territory, 46-yard line. And so we have seen some offense in quarter number 1. 151 for Florida State, 152 for Texas Tech. We are tied at 13. Second quarter coming up next. Second quarter, he's taking on the read along. For the number 2. Time 13. Gainer go to the left side here in the slot. McManus out to Carter to the backfield. Carter bounces off the tackle and gets a couple of yards out of it. The initial hit was by Everett. Everett, that's a tough one to say.
Spit it out, Dave.
I'll get it. And Michael Johnson finished him off the Raiders. Bobby Bass has a lot of confidence in Dexter. That's going out so far. His concern, back position. Floyd and Sammy Smith hurt, although, if possible, Floyd could play. The depth there, because after you get past Dexter Carter, you got a freshman, Chris Parker, out of Sandalwood High School.
It'll take something for Carter to get out of there. The Georgia native is a tough little cookie.
Again, left some room. Floyd. First down.
Something, Dave, that I would have never guessed. Normally in the preseason, first couple of ball games, your defense is much ahead of your offense. The offense is more intricate. It takes more timing. You have to work more. You get more reps. Defense, you go out and hit people. How hard can that be? Already we've seen both offenses on track to have 600 yards. Both offenses on track to score over 40 points. That doesn't make sense. But nevertheless, it's happening.
Lawrence Dawsey in the ball game for the Seminoles. And a wide receiver. That is he in motion now as McManus will throw on first down. So Carter a little bit behind him. And Carter heard footsteps from Michael Johnson.
I don't blame him.
For good reasons. You look at Bobby Bowden, Michael Johnson, 42. You look at Dexter Carter, who did the smart thing, just kind of ducking because Johnson was going to take his head off.
Dexter said, I ain't got the ball. I'm ducking.
You don't want to get hit by a consensus preseason All-Southwest Conference and potential All-American. This guy can hit you and put a hurt on you.
Mind you, a lot of the outside linebackers that the University of Florida has put out in the last 2 or 3 years.
Yes, he does, doesn't he? Second down 10. McManus to the flat. That had interception and touchdown written all over it. Eric Everett nearly picked that one off. Dawsey, the freshman out of Dalton, Alabama, the intended receiver, but Eric Everett almost almost picked that one off, and he'd have run about 75 yards for 6.
I don't think McManus would have caught him. As will happen, also hasn't probably worked that much with Danny. That time earlier, Danny was too late delivering it. The cornerback time to read it. With the explosive speed that the corners for Red Raiders have, they can make a move on it.
Third down, and on the set. Stay 28-yard line. Derek Pitt will be called upon to kick what amounts to be field goal here.
We've got some wind behind us, though, Dave.
Taking a 45-yard field goal.
Glory is blowing a little bit from our right to our left. Flag standing out pretty good.
Derek Pitt, 13 out of 24 in field goals last year. 25th on the all-time NCAA list for field
They're
goal.
going to break the FSU scoring record, and they're going to award him the ball right here where this SID guy is.
Okay, Bear, this could be the record if he can get it up and through, and it's a new record. NCAA scoring record. It's 16-13. Turned by Lane Walker. Deion Sanders grabs him up. They got a lot of razzle-dazzle on the kickoff returns for Texas Tech. You got 3 guys that burn you at about a 4.4 or 4.6 40. You want to utilize them, and that's exactly why Texas is doing that.
Texas Tech got fastest in the 60-yard dash in the Southwestern Conference, 25-foot long jump. Remarkable athlete.
Oh, yeah. All right, Texas Tech trailing by 3. This is Clifford Winston. And Winston bounces on the tackle and is knocked out of bounds. Clifford Winston, the sophomore out of Houston at 5'8", 195. Welcome addition in spring practice with Winston. Gives them the depth that they need, but they go really 3 deep at both fullback and tailback. Got a back, James McGowan, also who will see limited action tonight, that was the leading rusher 2 years ago before having academic problems last year. So they're loaded in the backfield.
We're healthy.
25 down the 26-yard line. Paul McGowan down there. They're going to give Derek Smith the football. And there it is, the all-time leading scorer here at Florida State. He'll take that back to his dorm room and cherish it. As we said, the all-time NCAA score. And at this pace, that is exactly his average for a season. 92 points a season, so he can very, very definitely do it. Third down. 2 yards to go. Did he get there? I don't know.
If he did not, Florida State was some lucky. There was some confusion.
Eric Hayes has come over the football. Isaac Garnett, the running back, fumbled it apparently as he was going down, and Eric Hayes scoops it up.
And Eric Hayes, Dave, there's a kid you got to like. He left spring practice at over 300 pounds. He had a weight problem. Came back at the booster luncheon on Wednesday. Chuck Amata said he weighed 267. That's some dedication in the summer.
They got him listed at 291 on the chart, but obviously that ain't right. All right, Seminoles in business, 24-yard line of Texas Tech. Dawsey comes in motion near side. Give us off to Carter. Carter breaks it outside, trying to get around Cowan, and knocks it out at the 20-yard line. Donald Harris knocked it out of bounds. Boyd Cowan in pursuit, but Carter just left Cowan in his tracks.
Carter showed some speed of his own. Cowan's no slow guy. Williams hard leading out. Dexter turns the corner on Coward.
Dexter Coward was supposed to be a red shirt last year. Expecting him. Got the praise of what he's seen out of Dexter Carter right now. Give us up the gut to Williams. Gets back about the line of scrimmage, and that's it. Rookie boy saw the left side of Texas Tech. Seen Monahan, Texas. If you look at this Texas Tech roster, 20 of the starting 22 are from the state of Texas.
Of course, that's a big land out there, a lot of space to draw from. But the Texas Tech program, I read somewhere, is the only of the 4 states in the western 2/3, and it draws a lot of the great athletes that want to stay a little bit closer to home.
Dexter Carter already halfway to his entire season total rushing last year. Bootleg by McManus.
We've seen this a lot with McManus because of his athletic ability. Sweep action one way, naked moves like the other. Watch the official get taken out. Right there. Nobody called a touchdown. Took him a while.
Derek Smith on again to try the PAT. That man, Danny McManus, to hold. And the rains once again come at Doak Campbell Stadium, and we got flags all over the field. Somebody's offsides. So we'll get the call of the thunderstorms once again come by.
Derek, can y'all just get it? I want to know where to put this black thing down and kick this football.
That's 4-yard drive. The play of the drive was Dexter Carter's 16-yard run. And so we'll line it up. Let's see, Danny McManus talking to
Decision.
Danny McManus now saying let's call timeout. They're saying offside from Texas Tech, and Florida State will indeed call a timeout. All right, it's to go for first half. Take this short break. Florida State out front by 9.
Is a technology of polarization. Polarization is the key to better, safer vision because of the superior reduction or great injury. Whatever your sport, the Costa del Mar.
22-16 Florida State. But we're now to get this PAT.
There was some confusion. Maybe they were trying to decide whether to go for 2 or not, or maybe didn't have the right personnel in there. That happens in a first game.
Yep.
Haven't seen a lot of offside. You would expect the first to see. I think that indicates the maturity and the veteran people that are on both squads.
Okay, we'll line it up. Try one more time. Derek Schmidt already. We'll try and extend it now. Good. Okay. Career last year, Derek Schmidt had a string of 108 straight extra points. That was broken. He was on a streak of 18 coming into the game. Earlier in the ball game, that one. And so with 11 minutes and 20 seconds to go, we'll take this short break, and we'll be back Right after this network break on the Sunshine Cable Network, Florida State out front by 10.
Eyewear provides the ultimate vision for sailors. Costa Del Mar has advanced the technology of polarization, creating a lens with superior reduction of unsafe glare. You, the consumer, now have a choice. Expensive imports with limited protection for your eyes, or Costa Del Mar, where your complete satisfaction is guaranteed and each product is backed by a lifetime warranty. Whatever your sport, you'll do it better in Costa Del Mars.
If you like Seminole sports, you'll love the Osceola. The weekly newspaper devoted to FSU sports delivers player features, games coverage, coaching comments, much 32 a year. Call 904-222-2190 to subscribe. Smokes everywhere for Texas Tech. Again, they try the razzle dazzle. It hasn't worked yet. This time they're bundled up right at the 19 line. This is the Anderson on the return, and Florida State special teams doing the job. Keith Carter, a reserve linebacker, in on the stop.
Again, the explosiveness of this Red Raider team's got to make you nervous.
Down by 10 now, the big fumble hurt him. And the wind's starting to pick up as the thunderstorms move fast. Toman will have Gray and Ferris in the backfield. Throw. Gray a flat one-on-one with Alfonso Williams. Williams wraps him up down at the 26-yard line. Williams with 22 tackles all last season. You see the total offense in the ball game. Look at this, almost 360 yards and offense, and Derek Smith with a big field goal. 23-13, Florida State.
Texas Tech is called a mobile offense, but just every other play you see motion.
Give is off to Ferris on the left side, and Ferris falls forward for about 3. Paul McGowan, the All-American candidate for Florida State, in on the spot. McGowan, what can you say about him? Preseason All-America pick, rated as one of the best linebackers in the nation. The way he plays is directly related to how well the defensive line plays. And the Florida State defensive scheme, Keith, as you know, the Florida State is designed to just pick up the defensive line and allow the linebackers to make the play. So when you see Paul McGowan with a lot of tackles, you know that defensive line is doing his job.
That's correct.
Coleman has some time in the flat. Great grab by Anderson. Super throw by Coleman down to the 43-yard line. Scott Tolman was 35 for 112. When he was at junior college, you would never know it now.
No, that would put him in the high 30s, low 40s in completion. I think he's in the 80s right now. Sprint draw action. Florida State finally getting contained. So what? Tolman pulls up, hits Anderson on the curl between about 73 players. First down.
Here goes Gray again. Big holes up front. Up by Gray. Florida, but they get into Florida State territory with 9:35 to go. Greg Newell's not starting tonight. Diedrich Dodge getting the nod. Newell has been hurt a lot of spring and fall practice, so Dodge got the starting nod, but Newell will see as much action as he would be normally if he had started.
Florida State making some whole changes on the defense. Mickey Andrews seen enough of this.
Lots of new folks there. Give us off to Ferris, and Ferris dragging people down to the 35-yard line. Shiver in there. Also got some help from Diedrich Dodge from the free safety position. Eric Williams also in there for Florida State.
Ferris is built like a bowling ball. He's 220 pounds. As you indicated, Dave, he started at tailback last year. With the emergence of all these other running backs, he was able to move to fullback where he could contribute more.
He was fifth in the Southwestern Conference in rushing last year, despite playing most of the season with a sprained ankle. Second down. Pitch left, first down for Texas Tech as Clifton Winston gets the first down. Diedrich Dodge knocks him out of bounds. And Clifton Winston, I'll tell you what, they've got another guy on this ball club by the name of Bouvier Dale. He's the third-team running back, and Bouvier Dale can flat do it too.
You gotta like anybody with the name Bouvier.
You got to play football with a name like Bouvier, don't
That's
you?
for sure.
You got to.
Of course, Tech hadn't thrown anybody out there yet that can't play football by what we've seen.
First down, Texas Tech. Carter on the blitz. Odell Higgins was in there. Made the initial hit. Palmer was coming in. Shiver was coming in as well. And you don't normally see Florida State blitz because they get better pursuit out of base defense, but they did that time. Remind you again, Tallahassee Hilton hosts a benefit for the Leon County Library Saturday, October 10th. Plan to attend this event featuring a dinner and a live theater performance. Call the Tallahassee Hilton for details. And there you see the number 445-8667. Texas Tech backing up. Apparently we're going to have an infraction.
Holding.
Boy, that'll kill a drive in a hurry.
That it will. Mistakes, dumb statement. Mistakes will.
So they'll mark it back at the 35-yard line, so it will be a first and 20. Florida State 15, 8 minutes, 30 seconds on a rolling clock here in the first half. Been an entertaining ball game so far. Walker to the near side, Eddie Anderson far side for tail. Getting down all the way down to the 26-yard line. Being stopped by Stanley Shiver is Clifton Winston again.
Technical defensive line.
Tech's been hurt in key times by penalties to Florida State factor. Second down. Winston chasing him, and McGowan took off, and Winston took a real solid helmet from Paul McGowan. Gets up slowly. Gains about 2. Save for you. 3 back. Now moved to linebacker. Back since a senior year in high school.
See Shiver coming on the blitz. Linebackers have got to be on the backs. Tolman does a good job of getting rid of the ball early. Here comes Palmer, followed by McGowan. Hold it for about a gain of 3.
Third down 9. Tolman gets pressure from McGowan. Tolman gets it off. Brown's going to want ground. They'll just say incomplete. There's a receiver down in the end zone, and they'll say the Tolman was trying to get him. McGowan put the pressure on Tolman. McGowan, who led Florida State in tackles the past 2 years, makes the big play here. So Scott Segrist will come on and try a 41-yard field goal. Segrist 13 out of 24 last year, number 3 kicker in the Southwest Conference. He'll kick from the right hash mark. Snap, Scott, kick is up, and it got there. 41-yard field goal by Scott Segrist, and Texas Tech comes back and gets points on the scoreboard. It's now Florida State 23, Texas Tech 16. 7 minutes to go here in the second quarter.
Again, penalties. Tech had not had that holding penalty, making it 1st and 20. The drive may have continued. They have to settle for 3 points. Not a bad kick considering the win, too, Dave.
No, sir. Texas Tech, as we indicated, won 5 out of their last 6 ball games last year on the way to Independence Bowl. And those people in Lubbock are really psyched about the ball as we told you, 10 starters on a and a very, very confident bunch. 50 out of 64 running return for Texas Tech, and you can see the experience of this ball club. This is not an easy place to open your football season.
No, yeah, but about preseason, obviously Spike Dykes has as well. The Red Raiders are playing the team.
Segrist blew it away. Butler. The ball right. Back about the 32-yard line. So here comes Danny McManus and company with 6 minutes, 57 seconds to go here in the first tacklers from last year, but they had 3 of 4 starters returning on the defensive line. But the secondary made it. You've got 2 freshmen in the backfield starting for Texas Tech this evening. And McManus has taken advantage of it, as you see by that graphic. Carter going to be wrapped up. Right at about the 32-yard line. Mosley coming in on the stop for Texas Tech. Mosley had a super Independence Bowl game. You see him there. He's a junior out of Matthews, South Carolina. He had 3 quarterback sacks off the bench in the Independence Bowl, and that was good enough to have him named Defensive Player of the Ball game last year. Number 5 tackler for Texas Tech last season. No gain on the play. Second down 10. Fake is to Carter. McManus. Third gainer down at the Texas Tech 41-yard line. Donald Harris, the freshman, was man he beat and pushed him out of bounds.
Florida State going again to what's called the corner route. See Gainer line up here on the left, in tight. McManus is going to sprint and draw to his right just a hair. Receiver's going to push inside, break it back outside. Excellent throw, excellent catch.
Herb Gainer had 27 catches last year for 441 yards and 3 touchdowns. And he's got a bust tonight. First down, Seminoles. Carter, big hole up the middle. Carter's dragging his way inside the 30 and down to the 28-yard line. Boyd Cowan, the strong side safety, makes the grab on Carter. It's another Seminole first down. Their 16th of the ball game so far.
You don't expect sophomores to make reads like this. You're going to see Carter try to break it back to his left, see Daylight to his right, right to his right there, and upfield. Carter downfield doing a good job. First down, Seminoles.
Nearly 230 yards in total offense for the Seminoles tonight. Dexter Carter is about 30 yards shy of the entire season total from last year, and Carter is wrapped up before Ronald Lewis can make the reverse. Artist Tank Jackson, the big guy, in there breaking up that play.
There, my friends, is a 295-pound man moving quickly.
This is the guy who played the last half of the season with a broken wrist last year, is still at the interior line and tackled.
Had a little bit of a stun on. He took an inside move, inside rush, broke it back when he saw the carrier going to his left. It's great agility for a big man.
6'5", 305 pounds out of Dallas. Second down, 15 to go for Florida State. This is Dane Williams, and Williams where? Desmond Royal, the potential All-America candidate, really high on this guy, in there to make the stop. Preseason All-Southwestern Conference, and he was one of the big reasons last year that Texas Tech turned their season around and won 5 of their last 6 ball games. Coaches here say he's the most talented lineman they've had in years, and love it.
Probably your most interesting call, third and about 20. Florida State obviously needs to convert this first down.
McManus dropping back. Wide in the end zone. Touchdown. Chief Osceola, about 56,000 others are happy folks in the state has just extended their lead to 29-16. Gainer wide open. Eric Everett, the only guy anywhere close. And again, Danny McManus exploiting the very young secondary of Texas Tech. Schmidt pops that one through. It's 30-16, Florida State.
You know, when you look at these two teams, Dave, in the first half, they kind of look like each other. You got a defense on both sides that'll play tough, give up the big play. An offense that'll push, not get anything and make the big play.
Remind you, we will Be back here in 2 weeks as the same Seminoles, ranked 8th in the country, take on a resurgent Memphis State ball club that is going to cause a lot of people problems. Right here from Tallahassee, September 19th here on the Sunshine Cable Network affiliates. The Smurfs go back deep, and here's your touchdown.
Look at your left. Everett, I think, bites on an inside move. When you see him come into your picture, he ain't going to be there. Gainer makes a move outside. Everett gets completely turned around. Throw and catch. Looks like Thursday practices when nobody's out there.
The D man and Razzle Dazzle. We'll see if they do it once again.
What they're doing,
Richie Andrews is your kicker. Excuse me, Steve.
what they're doing is they're setting up laterals or reverses.
Yep.
And this time they don't do it.
We'll be able to stop. This is Walker. And Walker down to the 25-yard line before Eric Williams is there to wrap him up. Williams lost his starting job at the right side cornerback to Martin Mayhew because he missed 4 days of practice this week with some various and sundry injuries. Right now, Texas Tech trailing by 2 touchdowns, but the total yards in the ball game fairly even. Florida State with a slight advantage. 4 minutes, 16 seconds to go, second quarter. Tolman. And another big hole for Clifton Winston. Winston is wrapped up by Stan Shiver as he falls forward down to the 34-yard line, and they will be about a yard shy of the first down, maybe a little less than that. They just keep running the backs in and out of there.
That time, I believe it was Ferris, the fullback, came out on Paul McGowan. We talked about a decleater earlier with Pat Carter. That's when you knock the defensive man on his back. McGowan was a decleatee.
And Gainer's off to a fine 1987 season. While we were looking at him, David Palmer was in there to bust up the run by Irvin Ferris and stop him shy of the first down. May have even lost a little bit on the play.
When you talk about the Florida State receivers, we saw that picture of Gainer, David. You've got people like Lassane and Anthony, a couple of folks that Florida State fans and the country hasn't really seen that may be as good athletically as Gainer and Lewis.
Tech having some problems getting lined up. Now they get it straight. Second down and short. Over the top again, James Gray, and he's got the first down. That's the third time we've seen him go over the top. 2 of them for touchdowns.
Got wings on those shoes.
I'm beginning to believe it.
It used to be you wore those high-top shoes, David, because your weak ankles couldn't run very fast. You notice all the fast guys got high tops now, and all the slow guys got the low cut.
Makes you look faster at least. First down, Raiders. Tolman going to the flats. Eddie Anderson's out there, but Martin Mayhew had him covered one-on-one very, very well and broke up the pass. Mayhew got the starting nod tonight over Eric Williams.
Texas Tech may be the only team that the Seminoles play where our cornerbacks are as tall as their receivers. Mayhew, not a big guy, neither is Anderson, but they both can get up off the ground.
Eddie Anderson's number 2 receiver on the ball club for Texas Tech last year, 37 grams. Wasn't able to get that one, however, so it'll be a second down 10 situation for the Raiders. This is Gray again. Gray breaks one tackle, and Gray out near midfield down to the 49-yard line. Mayhew in there. Deion Sanders also there. Let's go down to Barry Milligan.
Dave, there are a couple of things that are just so obvious so far. The depth of the Florida State offense has been so apparent with Dexter Carter and Dane Williams doing such a great job. And behind me, Edgar Bennett, the second-string fullback out of Jacksonville, is warming up and will probably see some action. You also have to remember Spike Dykes, the head coach, broke in at Texas Tech as a defensive coordinator, and Carlos Maynard, the defensive coordinator now, was at Miami last year, and he beat Florida State, so he certainly knows what the Seminoles had to throw at Tech tonight. So the Seminoles' depth plus just their overall talent is just too much for Texas Tech to handle with 30 points here and almost 300 yards offense in the first half.
Spike Dykes, incidentally, you're referring to, Bear, was born in the hospital directly across the street from the Texas Tech campus in Lubbock. 27 years in football before landing his first head coaching job. Cohen has time and finds a receiver. Down to the 41-yard line is the tight end, Phil Young, the senior out of Cleburne, Texas. That is Young's first catch ever at Texas Tech. He's a senior. They did not use the tight end very much last year. They used what was called a flex end, and it worked fairly well for them, but they've got three guys there now. Phil Young, Todd Wright, and Kevin Sprinkles, who they're very high on at the tight end position, and they really hope to get that tight end more involved in the offense this season. First down, Texas Tech. 2 minutes to go exactly in the first down. Out of the backfield is Winston once again. Greg Newell over there. Felton Hayes on the stop. Mayhew in there also for Florida State.
The offensive line of Tech is given a clinic on the running game. You'll notice that every Florida State play is being made by secondary or outside linebackers. We haven't heard very much from Palmer or McGowan in the last quarter.
No poise problem for that young man tonight, I can tell you that. Ferris bounces off of Palmer. Palmer hangs onto his ankles and drags him down. That was second down and 3 call. That Texas Tech is going to call a timeout. 1 minute, 19 seconds to go in the ball game. Tech trying to get something on the scoreboard and pull within a touchdown before halftime. We have seen some offense, and it's been dead even. Both teams with 269 total yards in offense this evening. Texas Tech with a sizable advantage in the rushing category. Florida State out ahead in terms of passing. You see Spike Dykes and company on the sidelines, the brain trust over there. Tech's first time out of the first half, so they will have 2 remaining. Florida State next week travels up to the coal country, up to Lansing, Michigan, take on Michigan State. And a key ball game for the Seminoles before returning here in 2 weeks from Memphis State. Check it, I got to get my schedule right. It's East Carolina, not Michigan State.
Don't put us up there before we have to go.
Getting ready to say, Bobby Bowden would a lot rather play the Pirates than those guys up there in Michigan State. The moon over Tallahassee, among the clouds, and there are lots of them here. So far, the rains have held off.
It's just been damp.
It has.
Hasn't been wet, it's been damp.
I've been damp for the last 3 days since I've been here.
No, you've been wet for the last 3 days. It's damp now.
I would just I'd assume go back to try out, I think. Big down here, 3rd down, 2. Sweet, Winston with the football. Here it is, has his second fumble recovery of the night.
They're expecting great things from Eric Hayes. One of the reasons is he's always around the ball. Toss action, Shaver comes in on the blitz, gets stood up, ball comes loose, Eric Hayes is there. Actually caught the ball in the air. If he hadn't slipped, he could have advanced it. How you like a 267-pound fullback?
I wouldn't try to tackle him. Florida State having trouble in the appropriate minute of the ball game, and they'll call their second time out of the first half, so they will have 1 remaining. State 7-4-1 last year and had a very impressive victory over the end in the All-American. First time they have played Southwestern Conference since 1978. They lost to Houston 7-21.
Played in that ball game today. We played in Sam Platt, caught a pass over the middle, ran it 50 yards for a touchdown with about 30 seconds left, and it was called back for holding. The ball started 7-1. And that was when Houston's program was greatly in vogue. In fact, I think they were ranked in the top 20 at that particular time.
To give you an idea just how dominant the Seminoles have been in opening games, home opening games of Bobby Bowden. outscored their opposition in those ball games 308 to 126. That's staggering. Single digit remaining in the timeout category. They've got a minute and 14 seconds to try it. Then field goal range for Derek Schmidt or try and get it down to the end zone. The Danny McMahon has been throwing the ball. Won't take 70 yards. They're going to have to go down. And for step coverage that time, Eric Everett was right there with Ronald Lewis on a was nearly intercepted.
I may need to owe Danny an apology. I mentioned we didn't have it was about to on the fly.
Some of the last got his first start of the year against Tulane. But a start was 16 of 101 yards, and he's already better than that total in the first half tonight. Second down, 10. He's got room. Good tackle, and finally is hog-tied by Ricky Boysaw. Very close to the Florida State first down. Boysaw had a real battle with Terry for the starting position at Texas Tech's side end. Leveled that crowd at the time. About 2 yards.
Not kid strong. Action left, cut it right. We the floor, break the floor, tackles. Coming up, gets from Boysaw.
Caught again, first down, 40 into the 40-yard line. That will stop the clock temporarily while they the change. 24 seconds to go in the first half. Again, apparently just thing out. They may try one more play. See, Ronald Lewis is over. Right.
Danny go back to Lewis. I mean, had a chance. Look, this ball comes a little bit more towards the upright of the goalpost instead of back outside. Has a chance. Just has to send it back to the outside. Then some great athletic ability makes a great play.
Senior out of Houston. As we told you earlier, he was the biggest surprise of this practice for everybody. He really came on to that back position. Really hasn't played that much. Up the gut. And that was first Baker better out of back in the first half this history. No surprise in the first half. Although Florida State with a size lead 16, but Texas Tech has done a good job of moving the football. 30, Texas Tech 16. We're back after this little piece.
Polarization provides superior reduction of glare. Your eyes deserve only the best. Costa Del Mar, America's #1 polarized sunglasses.
Second half getting set to get underway from Doak Campbell in Tallahassee, Florida. Statistically, things pretty even. Florida State with the advantage in first downs. Yards rushing favored Tech. Danny McMahon is throwing for 185 yards tonight. Both quarterbacks have an excellent ball game. Big stat, of course, is the turnovers, the two big ones for Texas Tech when they did have drives going. Penalties, not really a factor either. But you got to be impressed with the play right now. The young quarterback, and we say young, he's a senior, he's a transfer from junior college, but Scott Tolman has done an excellent job so far. And you got to be impressed also with the play of Danny McManus and Dexter Carter, who's had an awful good ball game too.
Well, there you have, Carter walking in. You wasn't sure whether Sammy Smith or Floyd could play. He's walked in. He's done a great job. He's made some very intelligent runs. He's cut well off of things that are happening. I think he's played remarkably given the situation.
We have not seen a punt in the first half. Every possession has either ended up in a touchdown or a field goal or a fumble. Better than 55,000 on hand at Doak Campbell. They thought the weather might keep a few away. The ticket sales for the ball game were slow earlier in the week, but they did pick up towards the tail end. And we do have an excellent opening night crowd here in Tallahassee as their Seminoles 8th ranked in the country. And hoping to move up in the rankings this week. They're going to have to do some doing. I tell you, Miami just dismantled Florida today.
That it did. Miami 31, Farragut 4.
Yeah, right. Those of you who missed the ball game, Farragut was the center for Miami, who snapped two balls over the head of his designated punter and resulted in 2 safeties for Florida. It's hard to score 4 in a football game.
That
it really
is.
is. It's tough.
For a while there, the score was 2-0. You know, I didn't know if I was watching the Red Sox and the Yankees or what.
So Texas Tech will take the field. They will kick off here to begin the second half. Scott Seekers once again to do the kicking. Dexter Carter and Leroy Butler out of Jacksonville back to receive. Butler got his hands on the football earlier. But Leroy Butler, a redshirt last year, Prop 48 casualty. That is he at the bottom of your screen down there. Bowden says he has as much heart as anybody he's ever coached. Several publications named him the Prep All-America teams. He's going to be a good find here for Florida State. This is going to be Reagan's again. This is the 3rd time he's handled a kickoff tonight. And he's getting better accomplished at it, too, as he gets across the 35 and down to the 37-yard line. So Bill Reagan's leading the team in kickoff returns tonight. And he's supposed to be blocking.
Tell you what, he's going to go home and take off those arm pads if he's got to carry that football a little more. Wait a minute, guys. I'm supposed to be hitting people.
1st and 10. Florida State begin the second half. Their own 36-yard line. Same starters in the ball game for the Seminoles. McManus to the air again. Pat Carter has his second big reception of the night. And Carter just shed Donald Harris, but fortunately for Harris, Carter had a foot out of bounds. Pat Carter, the senior out of Sarasota, number 4 of the team in receiving, although they didn't really throw to him that much last year. Just 16 receptions for the big tight end.
And he's already got, I believe, 3 tonight. Coach Bowden said, Wayne McGuffey said, we're going to use our tight ends. We've got some talented people there. We're going to find a way to make them contribute.
You've got Tom O'Malley as a capable backup for Carter, has as many receptions as Carter did last year. Then Dave Roberts and Reggie Johnson, also a couple of newcomers to the Seminoles at the tight end spot. Carter again down to the 44. Desmond Royal, the junior out of Temple, Texas, in on the stop.
I think Coach Bowden would like to take this particular drive and use up some clock, establish or reaffirm that ground game. If he could do that, I think he would term the first possession of the second half a success.
All right, second down. Call it 7 for Florida State. McManus takes the handoff. Little screen pass. Carter's got lots of room to run. Carter down to the 30-yard line. Donald Harris once again on the stop for Texas Tech. But that's another Florida State first down. Their 20th of the ball game.
The screen doesn't work unless you're throwing the ball well downfield. Florida State's done that in the first half. Now they come back with the screen. It's a middle screen. Offensive lineman, let the defensive lineman pursue. Fake to Carter. He'll circle underneath. McManus delivers the ball well. He's got 3 people in front of him. The thing I feared worse than anything else in the world was the guard in the open field.
First down Seminoles. McManus, little short pass across the middle. Taken in by Pat Carter once again. Tony Durden, the linebacker, one-on-one with Carter. As you see Carter, we haven't had a chance to talk about 58, Tony Durden for Texas Tech. He's been in on a few catches as you see Tom O'Malley coming in for Florida State. Durden, the linebacker for Texas Tech, was replacing Brad Hastings, who's an outstanding linebacker. Danny McManus having an outstanding night in his own right, throwing the football.
Durden anchors that 4-3. Texas runs a true 4-3 defense, just like the pros used to.
McManus looks. Oh, and nearly intercepted as Lemuel Stinson had the ball in his hands and just couldn't come up with it. That's a tough thing to do when you're zeroing in for a tackle and all of a sudden a ball pops in your hand.
It takes a great one to it. You're going to see the ball behind Lewis. Just a simple out pattern, ground level look. Gets his hands on it. Right there it is. And you're right. When you're focused in, you know, zeroed in on a jersey or a belt, trying to make a hit, maybe jar the ball loose, and all of a sudden the ball's in your hand, it's like trying to catch it with two 2x4s.
Third down 7, Florida State. Give us to Carter. Carter has the first down. As Everett is over there to drag him down.
Again, Coach Bowden showing a lot of faith in these ground game. Third and medium, third to long. He's going with a sweep action. And Dexter Carter moving it upfield.
It'll all go for naught, though, as the Seminoles have a flag called on him.
Gotta like the way this guy runs. Knew where he had to go and got to the first down, but as you say, all for naught.
They'll back it up to the 40-yard line. Holding against Florida State. So now you've got a third down and 15 situation for the Seminoles.
Maybe that's the reason the hole was so big.
Yeah. So let's see what Florida State can do. They're really out of field goal range. I'll go, I guess, for Derek Schmidt. Might not be. From here, it would be a 57-yard field goal attempt, assuming they don't get the first down. McManus having some pressure, and down goes Danny McManus. First sack of the night of the Seminole quarterback. It was Artis Jackson getting in there on Danny McManus.
Credit the secondary of Tech that time. Doubled the outside receivers. Nobody could get open. Danny flushes a little to the left. Protection's initially good. Can't find a receiver. Flushes left. Gets caught.
Couple of things to watch in the punt, Keith. Number one, Rick Tootin punting for Florida State, just recovering from a bout of tuberculosis. And number 81, Tyrone Thurman, one of the most exciting punt returners in all of college football, but they kick it away from him. And the Seminole coverage is excellent. Big number 30, Stanley Hall, the freshman out of Auxilia, Georgia, in there making the stop. Rick Tootin, of course, a transfer from Miami, has battled tuberculosis for the past several weeks. He has really been unable to practice effectively. He spends about 5 minutes walking to practice, 10 minutes kicking, and then 5 minutes walking back. He's been that winded, and they were not concerned about his ability to kick. He's been booming kicks. They were concerned about his ability to run downfield. But apparently he's gaining his weight back and getting the color back in his face, so apparently he will be all right. Winston is wrapped up by McGowan after about a yard.
Really a key drive here, Dave, in terms of the offensive line of Tech reestablishing what they've done in the first half, and of course Florida State trying to respond to it. That time you see McGowan on a clean hit on an isolation play. That means the defensive tackle on that side is doing his job.
McGowan excels at defending the run. You saw evidence of it there. Second down and 9. Tolman. Little swing pass. Winston does a good job of avoiding one tackler. Belton Hayes over there making the grab for Florida State. Winston gets it down to the 24-yard line. The Tallahassee Hilton. 246 rooms, free movies, daily lunch specials, corporate meeting rooms. The Tallahassee Hilton, conveniently located at the state capitol and city business. And call that number right there for reservations. Good place. We stay there.
Tell Joe Graganello hello.
I will. Third down 5. Slot to the right. Tolman looking left. Has a one-on-one situation out there, but the pattern was wrong, or rather Tolman thought the pattern was supposed to be something that it wasn't. Eddie Anderson, the intended receiver. And Texas Tech will have to punt for the first time. And that will bring on Jamie Simmons.
We're going to see the only top 10 return man in the country that doesn't have anybody blocked for him.
You betcha. That's an incredible stat. He averaged nearly 10 yards a return, that man you saw briefly, Deion Sanders, but nobody blocking for him. And that's why, because Florida State excels at blocking kicks. Stan Shiver, the man who blocked the punt.
Looked like it came right up the middle. Again, Florida State works on this as much as any team in the country. Shiver right up the middle, lays right out. The only thing they could have done different is maybe tried to pick the ball up because it's live. The defensive team can't advance a block kick, whereas they can't advance a fumble.
Florida State first and 10, great field position, 13-yard line at Texas Tech. Up by 14, here goes Carter. Carter in trouble, Cowan out there, and a host of folks come up on Dexter Carter and drop him for a loss of 7 yards back to the 21-yard line. We have some clock problems and some scoreboard problems, so we won't be able to keep you abreast of the actual time left to go. Well, now they've got it working again.
One of them is and one of them ain't. And what's real bad is the little one is and the big one ain't.
We can see the seconds ticking off of the big one, but that doesn't do us much good. It's the minutes and things like that that are missing. Second down, 17 for Florida State. McManus out to Tom O'Malley, the other tight end. And O'Malley down to the 14-yard line. Gets the 7 yards back. Gary Warren, the 235-pound senior out of Lubbock, is there to wrap up Tom O'Malley, who had a very good season last year. O'Malley, the junior out of Darien, Connecticut. And you see the Florida State bench. Along the Florida State bench, everybody has an assigned seat, which is different from most colleges. It's a layered seating. First team up front, second team next, and then third team down towards the sidelines.
Kicker's on the training table. Saw Tootin there.
Third down, 11. Dennis going for Lewis, the Red Gator, and he's got it. Herb Gator had Lemuel Stinson all over him. Great pass by Danny McManus. Threw it the only place he could.
What a lot of people don't know is that in the off-season, McManus is a seamstress. He threaded the needle with that one. As he threw it, I kind of cringed because the safety was moving over, and he threw it in the only place it could be caught.
It'll be first and goal, Florida State. Bobby Bowden's Seminoles offensively have been a terror tonight. 311 yards in total offense. We're halfway through the third quarter. Give us off to Williams, and Williams still on his feet. His knee hit down. They're going to call it a touchdown, Keith, but I believe his knee hit down at the 2-yard line.
It'll be interesting to see. I believe you're right, Dave, but the officials did give him the touchdown. He's so powerful in there working behind those offensive linemen. He kind of eases right up behind them, kind of leans on them and follows where they go and then slips to a crack. Here we'll see it. Watch him just kind of ease up in there, kind of follow around. Right there, his knees down. We won't talk about that. Barrel's rolling in.
Unquestionably, the knee was down, so technically not a touchdown. But they'll give him the 6 points nonetheless. Schmidt to try the PAT. Perfect. So Florida State starting to move out. 37-16. Back after this local break on the Sunshine Cable Network. kickoff. Richie Andrews boots it to Wayne Walker, who nearly fielded the ball in the field of play and nearly stepped in the end zone. The officials ruled it a touchback and not a safety, but that was close.
Well, what they're ruling there, he actually took possession of the ball on the field side of the goal line, but his momentum carried him into the end zone, same as if the ball had not been touched. Seminole fans don't like it, though.
Whoa, dangerous play by Wayne Walker. All right, let's see what Scott Thoman can do. He's been fairly quiet here in the second half after having an outstanding first half. Mickey Andrews and company making some adjustments at halftime. And we're going to have an offside as Odell Higgins made the contact. And with that, let's say hello once again to Barry Milligan.
The guy on the sidelines on the crutches normally would be the starting quarterback for Texas Tech, Billy Joe Tolliver. I had a chance to talk to him during the halftime. He says being on crutches wears him out about as much as playing in the game. He's very impressed with the play of his backup, Scott Comer, and he's really a little worried. He says Scott was well prepared, just as prepared as he, and is leading the offense. What they want to do here in the second half is just get to the ball a little bit faster, be a little more aggressive, because they think their offensive game plan has been good. They're going to stick with it, try to just grind it out, but just get to the ball a little quicker and try to catch Florida State a little bit confused on defense.
Okay, Bear, first down, and Thoman's going to go to the air, and Thoman's got a receiver but misses him this time. Eddie Anderson out there. Anderson's been unable to link up with Thoman, and Anderson last year the number 2 receiver on the ball club. Thoman, the senior out of Austin, Texas. Getting baptism under fire this evening.
Tolliver hit it right on the head, too. Their game plan has worked. If not but for a fumble, and maybe if they'd converted a third down somewhere along the way that left them in a better field position, it'd be a lot closer.
Give us off to Gray, and Gray. Gabbard was there to hit in. Palmer and Felton Hayes come up with a stop for Florida State after a gain of only about a yard. So we're looking at third down and 4.
Florida State, throughout the first half, has used the nickel defense, 4 defensive backs. They're not going to it now, but Mickey Andrews said he's not going to be afraid to use it even in run situations on third down.
Third down 4. Tillman back to throw again. Being pressured by Schutz, and that's grounding. That's going to be grounding, no question about it. It will not be a fumble, but the flag is down, and that will be loss of down as well as a penalty. Bart Schutz out of Jacksonville, the 240-pound senior, who was named the most improved defensive tackle in the spring, was putting the pressure on Tillman.
Officials discussing it. I'm pretty sure you're going to be right, Dave, but taking a little longer than I would have thought.
Schutz is a guy who's filling some big shoes. Gerald Nichols no longer there. And that will indeed be the case. Intentional grounding. And with that comes a loss of down.
You want to see Schutz make penetration here. It's going to come from the top of your screen. Flushes Tillman out. He's going to try to flick it. Terry Warren's eyes lighting up. Let me have that thing.
That was very nearly a lateral. Deion Sanders back to receive for Florida State. That average, as we indicated, pretty amazing since he doesn't have anybody to block for him.
I think you're going to see what is known as a quick kick.
Yeah, considering the last time that your punter Jamie Summers tried to kick, didn't get more than about a yard past his foot.
This might be step and a half.
Seminoles bring everybody. Not a good kick off the side of his foot, but it'll take a Texas Tech roll. Now it rolls back in. So down and right at about the 47-yard line.
We also have running into the punter, which is a very questionable call. I hope we get to see that again.
Flag back in the end zone, and apparently Texas Tech will retain possession.
Deion going, what's going on up there?
So that will cost the Seminoles possession. Actually, it might not. Let's see.
Fairly well called game. You got to remember, it's first game for the officials, just like the teams. It's a long off season for them as well. You reckon they go through two-a-days and that kind of stuff?
Oh, yeah.
You know, all right, Hanky exercises, 1, 2, 1, 2.
They have training camps for that kind of thing.
Yeah, they probably make them run laps so they don't report with a little bean bag, you know, a little white thing they throw when people field punts and kickoffs.
Right.
They didn't have those when I played. I guess it didn't matter as much. Some of them used to throw their hat down.
Okay, well, let's see what we do here. Now they're going to wave it off?
Well, what this is interesting. What Texas Tech has said is we don't want the penalty, regardless of the bad position, because we don't want to punt it again.
All right. Remind you again, 2 weeks from tonight, we'll be back here as the Seminoles take on Memphis State, a good ball club. That'll be 11:30 Saturday nights on most of the Sunshine Cable Network affiliates. Call your local cable system for details and times.
That is so interesting, Dave. What Coach Sykes said is, I don't want to punt this thing again. You can give me 15 yards if you want, and I can kick it back to Florida State's 25, but I don't want to take the chance. They took the play. Florida State's ball on their own 40 on Texas Tech's 47-yard line.
Wow. Randy White in the ball game for Florida State. He is split out to the wide side of the field as a wide receiver. McManus fakes the tailback, lofts it out in the flat, complete. And that's the backup fullback out there, Edgar Bennett from Jacksonville. Edgar Bennett out of Lee High School, 6'1" freshman, who ran for 1,300 yards and 15 touchdowns at Lee. They're very, very high on this man. Backup fullback to Dane Williams.
He just made about a senior play. I think we're going to get a chance to look at it. If we see him, you're going to see he was looking for the ball over his right shoulder. McManus lets him work upfield with the pump and throws it back over his left. He makes the adjustment, finds the ball, looks like a outfielder catching the ball over his shoulder in the outfield.
First team All-State performer in high school is Edgar Bennett. Dexter Carter's wrapped up before he can get out of the backfield. Charles Perry, the sophomore out of Iowa Park, Texas, making the stop. And Bobby Bowden, what a career he's had here, said this is one of the toughest opening games we've had since I've been here.
He was smarter than we were.
Yes, sir. Florida State's starting to take charge right now, but it was a battle in the first half. .6:43 to go, third quarter. This is Bennett again. And Bennett making quite a knack for himself in his debut in a Florida State uniform. Inside the 15 to the 14-yard line. Donald Harris on a stop.
Not real fancy. Takes the ball back to him. He reads his block, cuts upfield, makes a nice move to our right, cuts it back to the left. Just about runs over poor old Donald Harris.
At Lee High School in Jacksonville, Edgar Bennett played on a team that over 2 seasons was 20-1. First down, Florida State. McManus gets some pressure, throws down the sideline, incomplete. Fans wanted pass interference. Intended receiver. Let's take another look at that. Florida's intended receiver is Reggie Johnson, the tight end.
Dave, I don't know so much if he was out of bounds or he'd stepped out of bounds and made himself ineligible. McManus does a good job. He gets flushed out. He finds Johnson. He must have stepped out of bounds prior to that and made himself ineligible because he is clearly in bounds there.
Second down 10, Florida State. Give us off to Carter, who slips as he tries to make his cut. Loss of a yard on the play. James Mosley falls on him.
Interesting thing about slipping like that, Dave, you have to have speed to do that. You don't see a lot of offensive guards that pull out, you know, to block, that slip when they turn the corner like running backs do. I didn't have that problem either.
Third down, call it 13. Ball back at the 17-yard line. McManus to Gaynor, one-on-one, and Gaynor, oh almost pulled that one out. He nearly had that one. He was one-on-one with a defensive back who got his hand on the football, and Gaynor nearly came up with it.
I think if Danny had this ball back, he'd lay it up outside just a hair more. As it is, it's still a good pass. Three-step drop, lay it up, all timing. Gaynor tries to work himself into position. See the defender touch it. Gaynor still got it. Right there, he's looking at it. And bingo on the ground. Excellent concentration, though.
Everett on the coverage for Texas Tech. Fourth down, and Florida State will go.
Will
13. McManus lost it in the corner for Lewis. Incomplete. And with that, the ball goes over to Texas Tech.
Coach Bowden showing a lot of confidence in his wideout. I'm a little personally surprised he didn't go ahead and kick the field goal.
So the score remains Florida State 37, Texas Tech 16. That is kind of surprising. Although the way McManus has been throwing, they're getting the receivers out there one-on-one on the cornerbacks, and McManus is just locking it up. 354 yards in total offense for Florida State tonight. Here comes the tailback, and this is Bouvier Dale. We talked about him in the first half. Dale, the senior out of Bay City, Texas. Excellent pass catcher. Wasn't used much last half of the year last year, but had a super sophomore year. Gives him a lot of backup depth there at the tailback position. So you've seen 5 backs in there for Texas Tech. All of these Texas Tech running backs have excellent per carry averages. Dale is one of those, but that's going to hurt his average a little bit. As big 59, Keith Carter, is in there for Florida State, the sophomore out of Miami, who became the father of a baby girl last Monday.
That he did.
Carter moved to strong linebacker from weak linebacker this fall. I said he's improved 100% during the preseason.
Pretty sure Keith was real happy his wife didn't deliver during two-a-days. Can you imagine being up, not being able to get your rest? Teamwork.
Third down, call it 5. Coleman Anderson has his first catch tonight. Down at the 33-yard line. Mayhew in there on the stop for Florida State. Eddie Anderson, super possession receiver, 8th in the Southwestern Conference in receiving last year.
When you've got the speed of the Smurfs, defensive backs have to lay off. Quick drop by Tolman. Simple out route by Anderson. Delivers the ball. Mayhew having to respect that speed off of him. First down.
They show slot to the left side this time. 4 minutes, 2 seconds to go in the third quarter.
You notice Tech offsets their fullback and brings him in motion a lot. Something you don't see normally at a college level.
Pitch goes to Dale, and Dale is wrapped up before he gets out of the backfield. Martin Mayhew getting the penetration and making the stop for Florida State. Mayhew had arthroscopic knee surgery in the offseason. Had a good year last year. Back in 1985, he was an honorable mention All-American. You got guys like Mayhew, Newell, Williams, Shiver, Deion Sanders, Alfonso Williams, Tracy Sanders, Greg Newell. You got a real deep secondary for Florida State. Hayes putting some pressure on. Bouvier Dale gets it out of the backfield and advances the ball up to the 37-yard line. That was a 2nd and 11 play.
Good pursuit. You know, one of the things that Mickey Andrews was talking about is the way this defensive unit seems to be coming together. Instead of running in different directions, they kind of flow, kind of like a dance routine, if you will. But run to the left, everybody kind of runs to the left, gets some proper pursuit angles, that type of thing. And he's been very pleased with his defensive development in that area.
Third down, 5. Tolman, almost a great grab by Anderson. And if he'd been able to put one to run.
Tolman very disgusted with himself for leaving it up so high.
And so the Seminole defense gets a round of applause.
Deion needs to move up some. He's too deep.
Jamie Simmons in there to punt once again. Gets a little bit better kickoff this time. Sanders is going to have lots of room to run. They lose one tackler on the sidelines, and what a hit. Sanders goes down to the 45-yard line. Good return by Sanders. Eric Williams nearly took Brian Rollins' head off with a crushing block. You'll see this block. Wow.
This is a defensive back's dream, because normally this is what happens to them. Watch Eric Williams come in. Hello. Oh, my. And what's real bad is Williams didn't fall down. I mean, you just hate that in the films on Sundays and Mondays.
2 minutes, 29 seconds to go in the third quarter. This is Edgar Bennett. And Bennett gets it up to midfield. So the freshman now starting to get a little bit of playing time for Bobby Bowden.
They're very high on this young man. As you said, 1,300 yards and 15 touchdowns in his senior season in high school. Another one of the products of Jacksonville.
Lots of Jacksonville products on this ball club. Leroy Butler, a teammate of Edgar Bennett.
Ronnie Lewis.
Chris Parker out of Sandalwood. Corey Sr., also who hasn't seen action tonight in the defensive front. Carter is going to be wrapped up by Stinson. Play never really quite developed. And Carter will be wrapped up back at the 43-yard line.
Great read by Stinson. Fast read, if you will. Breezed right by Anthony, I believe, to make the tackle for a loss. Brings up third in a bunch.
Defensive backs come in. Linebackers go out. Third down and 12.
Look for a screen or a draw, maybe.
McManus looking out for Terry Anthony, and Stinson was right there with him step for step. Also had some help from Jim Vasquez back there, and so the Seminoles will be forced to punt for only the second time this evening, and that will mean Rick Tootin.
Tootin's first kick was a kind of a low line drive kick. Pre-game he did very well, but as you say, his problem is fatigue. It's not his ability, it's whether he can continue to kick after he gets tired. Tires much too easily.
Tyrone Thurman back, and they're going to try and kick it away from him. You don't want to put it in his hands. Not a good kick at all by Tootin. And Florida State may wind up with possession out of this. Goes out of bounds. Texas Tech will retain it. But boy, that's dangerous. Thurman was the man that wound up with the football.
I think Stinson tried to field it, kind of short hop it like a shortstop. Very dangerous play, especially that close to the sideline.
Oh, yeah.
You let that thing go. But you know how us defensive backs are. You know, we get our hands on that ball so rarely. Start them.
Florida State, whatever they did at halftime defensively has worked, because they have basically shut down Texas Tech here in the second half. Give us up the middle to the fullback, Isaac Garnett. Garnett is wrapped up by Magdai El Shahawi, backup nose guard. I think I got that right.
I'm not even going to try it. You know, some kids come in with names that automatically get nicknames. I don't know what Magdai's is, but, you know, I can tell you what, these boys from Florida and South Georgia, I've got to have given him a, you know, Butch, Buddy, Bo,
Billy Joe, whatever. Going to be a personal foul on Florida State. That will back them up 15.
A little unnecessary roughness, I believe.
There's your signal. So Tech with a first down, back at Florida State, or rather their own 37-yard line. 53 seconds to go in the third quarter.
And there's a young man that might have won himself a starting job even when Tolliver comes back. At least it'll be a battle now. It won't be handed back.
They don't know just how long Tolliver will be out. They said he tried to go yesterday in practice, just could not do it. Pitch comes out to Dale once again, and Florida State defense just swarming now. Mayhew in there. Kelvin Smith in there also for Florida State, another freshman out of Jacksonville.
The difference is real simple. The defensive line, the down three, nose tackle, two defensive tackles are keeping the guards and the tackles off the linebackers. When you can do that, you can hold runners to 2- and 3-yard gains and allow the linebackers to do what they're supposed to do.
And with that, the third quarter is history. 3 quarters gone from Doak Campbell Stadium in Tallahassee. Florida State has taken charge, leading Texas Tech 37-16. Back after this local break on the Sunshine Cable Network. Along with Keith Jones and Barry Milligan, I'm Dave Reed coming to you from Tallahassee, Florida. Seminoles up by 21 as we begin quarter number 4 with Texas Tech looking at a 3rd down and 7. Slot to the left side. Big hole up the middle this time for Bouvier Dale, and he's going to be stopped just shy of the 1st down. There is a flag on the far side of the field, however.
Where it's thrown, you might look for holding or defensive holding, pass interference.
Corey Sr. in on the stop.
Defensive holding it was. Excuse me, Dave. Renegade, Chief Osceola. You know, Florida State and Texas Tech are 2 of only 3 schools in the country that have horses. Be a good trivia question. What's the other one? Quick. 5, 4, 3.
Wait, I hate it when you confuse me. I really hate it.
He wears a skirt. Does that help?
Let me think about it. In fact, they claim in Lubbock that it was their idea, or their mascot, that gave Florida State the idea of having Renegade. Penalty's not really a factor in the ball game this evening. 1st down, Texas Tech. Coleman now getting some pressure from Hayes. Avoids the big guy. Now he drops it downfield. It's going to be shy. Thurman, the intended receiver. Thurman, in addition to being an exciting punt returner, is not a bad pass catcher either. Caught 18 balls last year. Good enough for number 4 on the team.
5'3", 130 pounds. 4.5-year-old, just about that big. But he can fly.
He flat
I
can.
mean, he can fly.
Tolman. From the 40-yard line, looking at the 2nd down and about 9. Goes to the sidelines, complete. New wide receiver in the ball game for Texas Tech. Over at the flanker position, number 24, Richard Ross. His first reception of the night. He will be just shy of the 1st down, however. That's going to be sizably shy. Going to be 3rd, about 3.
Tell you what, they got Smurfs all over the place.
They do. That's the 4th, isn't it? Texas Tech missing one of their key wide receivers. We'll talk about that in a moment. Tolman winds up getting the ball out to Isaac Garnett, and Garnett ran out of bounds back at the 37-yard line. No gain on the play. And it'll be a 4th down situation for Texas Tech. Tim Tannehill, as Kelvin Smith and Stan Shiver make the stop. Tim Tannehill for Texas Tech, one of their key wide receivers, is lost for the season. And that, Texas Tech calls a timeout. So with 13 minutes, 43 seconds to go, we'll take this short break with Florida State out front by 21.
People ask, Corky, how can you be so cool? Either you're cool or you're not cool. Take these shades. Costa Del Mar. Sure, they look great. And they're made in America. That's cool. But you got to do more than look cool. Be cool. Right?
Right, Corky.
So Costa Del Mar uses the same polarized polycarbonate lenses do. No distortion, no funky colors, no glare. And they block out more gnarly UV rays than 2 tons of sunscreen. And the frames? Almost too cool. Try this with your cheapo nylon frames. No way, bud. Only Zao frames from Costa can twist and turn like this. So even if you've got a head like a melon, they're going to fit perfect. And they're guaranteed to last a lifetime. Outrageous.
Costa Del Mar, where quality and pride in American workmanship have made Costa Del Mar America's #1 polarized sunglasses.
4th down, 3 yards to go. Texas Tech trailing by 21 will obviously go for it. Toman, pass out the flats. Dale catches it, but that's it. And with that, the ball goes over to Florida State. McGowan over there disrupting things. And the fans love the defense.
Tell you, Florida State fans are looking for some big things from Mickey Andrews' unit this year. Reminiscent of some days of old.
Well, they've certainly got the horses back there to do it. In this second half, they have just shut down an explosive Texas Tech offense. McManus still in the ball game. Dumps it out to Bennett. Bennett's got lots of running room. Bennett inside the 40. Bennett down to the 32-yard line. Boyd Cowan on the stop.
Simple screen, nothing fancy. Penetration, linemen scoot out. Bennett circles underneath. Now here's what makes him so good. From the fullback position, he is probably as an exciting and open field runner as Florida State's had in a long, long time from that fullback position.
He's going to have a great career here. Here goes Carter. Carter's got some room. Runs into Desmond Royal after a gain of about 5. 13 minutes to go in the ball game. You got to be impressed with the way Florida State's offense has been clicking tonight. That's one of the big reasons, because Daniel McManus has been so successful. But this is an offense that's playing without their top 3 running backs.
This is true. It's also an offense that didn't do diddly squat every season. Coach Bowden was extremely anxious about what this offensive unit would do. The defense coach so completely shut them down during 2-a-days.
McManus with a quick toss. Fans want interference. They will not get it.
So does the color commentator.
Herb Gaynor, the intended receiver for McManus. Sammy Smith, Victor Floyd. We haven't even mentioned Keith Ross. Ross out for the ball game as well. All should be back next week, however.
It's going to be hard to move. Carter, Williams, Bennett. And these people have come in and done a very good job.
I'll tell you what, I mean, depth is not a problem in the backfield at Florida State. 3rd down 4. McManus going to the corner to Lewis, and he catches the ball, but he's out of bounds. And McManus goes just another foot. Eric Everett on the coverage of Ronald Lewis. Lewis, who burst onto the scene last year, 8 catches for 145 yards.
Ground level look, quick drop, lay the ball up, just a little bit outside. Watch him make the catch, no problem. He was in Canada. You know, he was in Canada.
Ronald Lewis came on the scene last year after injuries forced him in. Made quite an impression. 42-yard field goal attempt by Derek Schmidt. It's long enough. It's good. So Florida State extends the lead. With 12:17 to go, 3rd quarter, it's 40-17. 16 rather. Florida State. We'll be back.
You owe it to your eyes to wear Costa Del Mars. Pick any other sunglasses on the market, regardless of price, and compare them to Costa Del Mars Advanced Polarization for the superior reduction of unsafe glare. Experience the cooling, comforting effects only Costa Del Mars can provide. Quality and pride in American craftsmanship have made Costa Del Mar America's #1 polarized sunglasses. Costa Del Mars, guaranteed for life.
Hey, if you like Seminole sports, you'll love the Osceola, the weekly newspaper devoted to FSU sports. Delivers player features, game coverage, coaches' comments, statistics, recruiting, and a lot more. 32 times a year. To subscribe, call 904-222-2190. Andrews punts it away. And they try the razzle-dazzle again. This time Walker will keep it. Walker's got one man to beat and does not. He could have run a long way out there had Leroy Butler not been there to bring him down. Also, Martin Mayhew.
They bring back excitement to kickoff returns, I'll guarantee you.
And the rain starts to come down again.
Here's Noah.
Here's your injuries for tonight, and you can just see just how many people are hurt for Florida State. Smith, Ross, Chris Floyd is out there. John Eford hurt in the car accident. He's out for the season. Florida State's done well. A lot of their offense hurt.
Oh.
Fumble. Dale falls on it. Texas Tech will retain possession, but they'll be 7 yards further away from the FSU goal line.
Our viewers can see the rain now. I think earlier it wasn't really visible on the TV screen, if you will. It's coming down.
Texas Tech came into the ball game with a few folks hurt as well, not the least of which was Billy Joe Tolliver. You got to wonder just how much more effective Texas Tech would be with him in. Nixon and Scurlock both out for the season with injuries. And those were two key defensive backs for Texas Tech, very key. Second down, 17. Big hole up the middle this time for Bouvier Dale. Dale gets the 7 back, so it'll be third down and 10.
Third and a bunch. In the rain. Down by 24. I like it a lot better up here.
Let's see what Toma can do. So this offense is a big play group. They've had a few tonight. Toman has time. Down the flat behind his intended receiver. Eric Williams was down there on the coverage of a new man in the ball game for Texas Tech. Number 87-10, Matthias Meyer. Have to stop. Think about those. Matthias Meyer.
Well, he must have stolen Blackshear's jersey.
Yeah. So Deion Sanders back deep to receive once again. Jamie Simmons, the sophomore punter, back to kick once again. Pretty good kick this time. Sanders is just going to let it go. You don't want to field a football in this kind of rain, and
not with 9 white shirts running after you.
And with the lead you got. 10 minutes, 47 seconds to go. We'll be back right after this. As we return to action, Tom O'Malley on the reception from that man, Chip Ferguson, who's now in the ball game for Florida State. There you see the numbers last year. This is a guy who's, of course, out of Charlotte, North Carolina, just a junior, and quarterback in his career. He's only 123 yards shy of becoming Florida State's 10th all-time leading passer. He threw 15 TDs in his career, and that's already number 10 on the list this year. That's another area. Of course, Florida State is very deep. Quarterback, you go 3 deep when Peter Willis in there from Alabama. Shot, we got a lot of in the ball game now for the Seminoles of Florida State. Parker, the tailback out of Sandalwood, the freshman. Let's go down to a very soggy and I'm sure unhappy Barry Milligan.
Dave, thanks. I think you're going to see a lot of subs in the game now. One reason, of course, the game is out of hand. Danny McManus, 275 yards passing. He'll take the night off. One factor is East Carolina, Florida State's next opponent, is putting an old-fashioned whipping right now on North Carolina State. So the Seminoles have to go up to East Carolina and visit Al Baker, and they want all the frontline players healthy. They are right now. The only player banged up, strong safety reserve man, Johnny White, hurt his knee. He is questionable. They don't really know what the prognosis is right now, but other than that, Florida State has come out of this game completely unscathed.
Chris Parker gets the handoff from Chip Ferguson. Michael Johnson in the spot for Texas Tech. Ferguson, of course, had his ups and downs last year. It was actually the starter at the beginning of the year due to Danny McManus recovering from the concussion. Had a good first game, but the next 3 games was erratic. McManus came back in, got hurt. Ferguson came back in for a while. Peter Tom Willis got some time in at quarterback. The backfield as the give is off to Marion Butts out of Sylvester, Georgia. And Butts is going to be guilty of moving prior to the snap, so that'll come back.
listed as doubtful. He's now in the ball game. Marion Butts. He's one of Coach Bowden's, one of the kids he likes. He's big, strong, likes to play it mean.
In fact, the coaches, Wayne McDuffie calls him John Dillinger with headgear. Says the most physical fullback he's ever seen in his life. Kid who broke his leg in two in high school was told he would never play again.
No, it was suggested he would never play again. He never allowed them to tell him he wouldn't play again.
Obviously, he's back, and Wayne McDuffie is very, very high on this young man.
I mean, I just like these kids, the neck rolls, you know, at a skill position. You gotta like them.
Scott Damari in the lineup. Lawrence Dossey's the other wide receiver on 2nd down and 7 for Ferguson. Pitch goes to Parker. Here's Parker down to the 40-yard line. Parker out of Sandalwood High School in Jacksonville. Last year rushed for 1,530 yards, 21 touchdowns, and Danny McManus, a well-deserved rest, off to a great start here in 1987. And backup Chip Ferguson.
Chip's ready to contribute today. People that know him well know he's dropped about 15 pounds. He's reported in the led the 12-minute run.
3rd down 7. Ferguson sings one across. Damari misses the winds up with a shoulder pad in his gut from Cowan. Damari not listed among the top really 3 in the wide receiver, but he's seen sizable action for Florida State.
The slant route there, Dave, is a wide receiver's nightmare, a defensive back's fantasy.
Tyrone Thurman back to receive the punt. Kind of a rolling kick that rolls out of bounds. 46-16 for the State. Back after this local break on the Sunshine Cable Network.
Greg Jewell makes the stop for the Seminoles. First down, Texas Tech.
While we were in the break, Scott Tolman hit Anderson for first, gets it up to the 4-yard line. Tolman gives off to the back. Eric Hayes is in there to wrap him up quickly. Winston carrying the ball. Scott had a very respectable night for a guy who's thrown one pass in his career at Texas Tech.
He's shown a lot of maturity and a lot of poise, Dave, coming from the equivalent of a third-teamer entering camp, starting the first ball game. He's run this club with authority, threw the ball well, he's executed well. You've got to be very impressed with him.
2nd down 8. Tubman too high this time. Martin Mayhew out there, step Anderson. Pick up a 3rd down.
Cheerleaders doing their great job as always.
Tallahassee Hilton hosts a benefit for the Leon Library Saturday, October 10th. Make sure you plan to attend, featuring a dinner and a live theater performance. Call the Tallahassee for details. 3rd down 8, Texas Tech. Texas Tech will keep their away opening game season intact. They have lost 5 in a row dating back to 78, assuming a miracle does his intended receiver, Rod Ryden, the backup tight end, Ryden, senior out of Stephenville, Texas. Sanders back there on the coverage for Florida State. So Texas Tech will have to boot it away.
Rick Dodge there was doing his impersonation of Superman. Coach Mickey Andrews said about Dedrick Dodge, said last year we were kind of scared to use him. He said this year we're not. Much improvement he's made.
And with that, there's a time on the field. With 5 minutes and 20 seconds to go, Tech, Florida State, 5-0, 40-16. We'll be back.
Only polarized protective eyewear provides the ultimate vision for sailors. Costa Del Mar has advanced the technology of polarization, creating a lens with superior reduction of unsafe glare. You, the consumer, now have a choice. Expensive imports with limited protection for your eyes, or Costa Del Mar, where your complete satisfaction is guaranteed and each product is backed by a lifetime warranty. Whatever your sport, you'll do it better in Costa Del Mars.
We talked about earlier in the ball game that Coach Mickey Andrews was telling us they want to finish 10th in scoring defense and 10th in total defense, and they've done a good job of it. They'll have their work cut out for them. East Carolina next week, and then, of course, in 2 weeks, we will be back to bring this ball game to you as Florida State takes on Memphis State. That's 2 weeks from tonight, right here from Doak Campbell Stadium on the Sunshine Cable Network affiliates, 11:30 p.m. Saturday night for most cable systems. If you're unsure, call your local cable company for details. Deion Sanders will stand back at his own 15-yard line. Received the kick from Jamie Simmons, who had no activity in the first half, but has seen a lot here in the second. And the sprinkles still continue to come down in Tallahassee. Pretty good kick this time. Sanders is just going to make the fair catch back at the 7-yard line. 5 minutes to go. Florida State will come on and try and push this one away. Ferguson will lead the offensive unit on the field again.
While we've got a chance, I'd like to mention that the Florida State University College of Business will hold their alumni weekend on the 2nd and 3rd of October. That's the Miami game. Activities include a golf tournament on Friday afternoon and Friday morning, a reception Friday night, a brunch on Saturday afternoon. If you need more details, you can contact the College of Business at 644-6468. Talk to Chris Ivy. Biderman should take care of you.
Aren't you glad you're at home?
I'm in the
Ferguson gives it off to Chris Parker, and Parker getting some valuable minutes tonight as a freshman. Carries it up. 11.
Longtime Florida State fans look at Chris Parker and say, a boy here named Chip Sanders, who wear the same number. They're built, they look alike, they run alike. Here we'll see a simple draw action. Breaks out to his right. Good point of attack blocking. Works laterally. Might need to work on the north and south a little bit.
This is Marion Butts. He breaks a couple of tackles, and Butts is off to the right. Butts gets 2 men to beat. And Butts is all the way down to the 35. Fumbles the football. It's loose. And Texas Tech comes up with it. Oh, my. Let's see. Florida State signaling they have it. I thought I saw a Texas Tech jersey on it, and I was right. So you talk about a physical football player. We talked about it before. That is him as Marion. What? Shedded a couple of tacklers. Warren covers for Texas Tech.
He is so physical. He's not used to being in the open field. Now this 200-plus pounds, heading just as fast as it can go. Just run down from behind, carries it through there, drops the ball. You know, when you're big and you're running fast like that, that ball gets heavy.
Gives up the gun across the 40 and down to the 43-yard line. Isaac Garrett, Texas Tech. Minutes to go here in the ball game. And there's Marion Butts. You're going to see a lot of this young man.
You see, Coach Perkins, I was running the ball and I was doing real good and I just dropped it. Jay's telling him, no, son, that's not the way we do it.
Pretty good run. Last play, so second down, 3. Texas got to go back and play a pretty rugged schedule as well. There you go. Side and Gray breaking the field down to the 49-yard line of Florida State. Eric Hayes, the grab for the Seminoles.
This Texas Tech team has got to be impressed with Coleman. They've got to be pleased with what they've been able to do against a very good Florida State defense.
Gray once again down to the 45-yard line. Florida State. Running down. We mentioned Texas Tech schedule. They play some folks. Play people like A&M, Texas, Arkansas. That's tough they play over there.
Don't forget Baylor.
Baylor.
CU. That's some of the big boys.
He's had an excellent night. Tone drops the throw. Going for it. Anderson nearly came up with great goal back there. Also, great guys together for a long time.
Excuse me, David. Out of Panama City, probably one of the most consistent players for Florida State. Ground level look, action right, goes back to the left, free safety position, closes, makes the hit. That's what you ask out of you.
And with that, a timeout on the field. Texas Tech going to try and make one last score out. 2 minutes, 30 seconds to go. Back into this local break on Sunshine Cable Network. On 3rd down and 7 gives off to Ferris, and Ferris is going to be very close to first down. Grant on the stop for Florida State. While we were away, we had some excitement in our booth here. Biggest bug I ever saw in my life came crawling into the booth.
Where in the world is an entomologist?
Wow. That bug was the size of my foot. Actually, our stage manager got rid of it and dumped it over the head of some poor unsuspecting photographer out here below us.
He was very thankful. He's not only has he been in the rain and had to win Bowie's camera over once.
Barry Milligan's not worried about being bit. Let's listen to him.
Dave, talking about Marion Butts, he came from Northeast Oklahoma A&M, where he led that school last year to the Junior College National Championship with an 11-0 record. He had over 600 yards rushing. Marion says he loves to get the ball, as we saw a little while ago. I tell you what, standing here beside me, or behind me rather, he's been taking a lot of ribbing here in the last couple of minutes for his teammates for getting stripped, not for getting caught. But I tell you what, you mentioned the John Dillinger reference that Wayne McDuffie made to him. He also said that when Marion Butts reported to spring practice that he was a man among boys. And I tell you what, when Wayne McDuffie makes that kind of reference towards you, it means something. I think Marion Butts will probably be the fullback for Florida State this year.
All right, there. It's been a different ball game in the second half after being a tie one in the first. McManus, of course, the big factor. They knew that they would be able to throw against the secondary. Florida State, not unusual to rack up 400 yards in total offense. They do that quite a bit. And, of course, Derek Smith tonight getting the game ball and setting a new career scoring record here at Florida State, on the way to a new NCAA record. Just depends on how fruitful the offense for Florida State can be this season as to whether he will do that. Greg on fourth and very short may not have gotten there. There's a host of folks in there hanging on to him.
Eric Hayes, Palmer, a lot of folks down on the bottom. Gabbard maybe. McGowan. Man, they worked McGowan out like a car wreck. Somebody get the jaws.
Sheldon Thompson in there too.
You know, Dave, it'll be interesting as we watch it measure. Scores 40-16, 1977, Tangerine Bowl. Final score, Florida State 40, Texas Tech 17.
How about that? History nearly repeats itself. 10 years ago. And Florida State holds. Coincidentally, that was the last time Texas Tech was in a bowl.
Prior to last year?
Yes, it was.
It's been 9 years without.
Has had a great night tonight, as is his norm.
He is a dominating player when his defensive tackles allow him to roam behind the defensive line of scrimmage.
One of the services around the country ranks him as the 6th best linebacker in the country. Ferguson will throw. Got a man inside the 40 and now into Texas Tech territory. Nice looking catch and run by Reggie Johnson, the tight end. Johnson getting some quality time tonight, the freshman out of Pensacola. Go 3 deep at tight end. Carter, O'Malley, and now Reggie Johnson.
4. Don't forget Dave Roberts.
Yes, sir.
Very talented Florida State team. That again, to beat the dead horse, make it come up from the living or to the living again, you have to perform as a team in order to make it work.
And more running backs coming out for Florida State. Out of the woodwork right now, down to the 3rd and 4th team running backs. That's Paul Moore. Ken Whitfield and Mike Derryberry on the stop for Texas Tech.
Holding on Florida State that will nullify the game.
A lot of second teamers in there right now, so you're going to get some of that. Scott Shilbrack in there at left tackle. I haven't really talked about it very much, but there was a lot of concern about the tight guard position here at Florida State this year. Tony Yeomans and Hayward Haynes had the battle going for it, and finally Yeomans beat him out, but that's a very key for Florida State because that's the pulling guard.
That's the pulling guard. You've got to have something there. Prior to that, of course, we had some people there that were set records in terms of notoriety and All-American, and folks like Jamie Dukes, before him Greg Frutch, and folks like that. And with the Florida State scheme, that tight guard position has got to be a very mobile individual capable of getting out on corners and safeties and making downfield blocks. Takes a great deal of talent.
Yeoman and Haynes have done a good job. Dexter Carter's been able to roam around pretty free tonight. Minute 40 to go. First down for State. Get down to the 40-yard line. Be first and 25. Getting a little of it is Chris Parker from Sandalwood once again. Mike Derryberry on the stop for Texas Tech.
Can't underestimate these reserves getting in here experience. I know Coach Bowers is going to be very pleased with the fact that for most of the fourth quarter he's been able to put some people he probably didn't anticipate playing. You can practice or be an All-American out of high school and practice in college, but until you get in front of 50,000 people when it really counts, you can't replace that experience.
Second down in a bundle. Ferguson hit the shoulder pad of Reggie Johnson, tight end, as he slipped.
Either that or right in the face guard.
Boom. So it'll be third down, 25 for Florida State. Minute, 2 seconds to go in the ball game. Impressive second half for the Seminoles this evening. Texas Tech apparently did not change their strategy at the end of the first half, but Mickey Andrews and the defensive bunch for Florida State certainly did. Ferguson got a man and some running room this time for Chris Parker. It's a first down. 30-yard gain down to the 35-yard line of Texas Tech. Everybody put on the stop.
Excuse me, Dave. Everybody knows what Florida State can do with its wide receivers. Coming into the season, Bowden said we're going to use our tight end and our backs out of the backfield. This time, Parker circling out from the left position, left halfback position, beats the safety or linebacker there. Excellent pass by Ferguson, the lead field. Pick up about 27-8 and up for the first down.
Is up down inside 35 to the 30 line is Parker once again. That might be the last play of the ball game. They will not have to run another one.
But Chip may want to.
He might. See if they go to the end zone with this one. 8 seconds. Ferguson off to Chris Parker once again. Parker breaking tackles, and Parker gets the 25-yard line, and the ball game is over. So Florida State with an impressive second half comes away with a 40-16 victory over Texas Tech. Keith and I will be back with some final comments right after you look at this.